Okay, let's just dive right in because we're tackling a topic with a pretty bold title today: Religion Stinks, but Jesus Doesn't. Now, if you've ever felt a little, let's say, turned off by organized religion, you might be surprised to find out who agrees with you.
Wow. Okay, so we're starting with some of the most blistering words Jesus ever said. But who's he talking to here? You might think it's the criminals, the rebels, the outcasts of society. Nope. These words were aimed squarely at the most religious people of his day, the ones who looked perfect on the outside.
And that gets us to our first major point. If you've ever looked at religion and thought, man, this just feels broken, you're actually standing in some very, very unexpected company.
It's a really common feeling, isn't it? That sense that religion can become less about a genuine, heartfelt faith and more about, I don't know, looking good, judging other people, and feeling like you're on the right team. Well, according to our source, Jesus was right there, calling out that exact kind of act.
So that brings up a huge question then. If Jesus was so incredibly tough on the religious establishment, how did he treat everybody else? Who was he confronting and who was he actually welcoming in? This leads us right into our second section, a tale of two crowds. And this is where we see a huge contrast in how Jesus dealt with the religious elite versus the people they considered outsiders. So Jesus told this story about two guys who went to the temple to pray. On one side, you got the super religious Pharisee, and his prayer, it's basically a spiritual resume. He's just listing all his good deeds, looking over at the other guy and saying, "Thank God I'm not like him." But then you have the tax collector, a guy everyone hated, saw as a traitor. His prayer is, well, it's short, it's desperate, it's brutally honest. It's just, "God, help me. I'm a sinner." And here's the kicker: the verdict from Jesus. He says the humble, broken tax collector, he's the one who went home made right with God. He was accepted, he was forgiven. The proud, self-righteous guy, not so much. Jesus just completely flipped the script on who's in and who's out. And this wasn't just a one-time thing, it was his whole pattern of behavior. Think about it. The woman caught in adultery, about to be stoned by a religious mob, Jesus steps in, protects her, and says, "I don't condemn you." Or Zacchaeus, this despised, corrupt tax collector, Jesus doesn't show up with a lecture. He invites himself over for dinner. Over and over. He offers his presence, not judgment. And that's what changed people.
So this all leads to a really big question. Why? Why does religion, which so often starts with good intentions, get so twisted? Let's dig into the root cause that our source material points to.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? God created us in his image, and we returned the favor. We have this deep-seated human tendency to create a God who looks a lot like us, a God who's judgmental, who keeps score, and who, surprise, surprise, favors our group over everyone else's. Our source calls this religion at its worst. And it's basically a system that we try to manage. It's like a cosmic vending machine. If you put in the right behavior and say the right words, you get a blessing. But if you break the rules, you're out. It all becomes about performance, and that naturally creates an us versus them mindset. Okay, so the author of our source material does something really brave here. He shifts from analyzing the problem to getting incredibly personal, and it's a really powerful part of this whole thing. I mean, you gotta love this line. The author admits he's a recovering Pharisee with an incomplete pharisectomy. It's a funny way of saying, yeah, I've been that guy. I've been judgmental, and I'm still working on it. It's so honest, and it shows he sees himself as part of the very problem he's talking about. And that honesty leads to this: a direct, simple, and powerful apology for anyone who's been hurt by religious people. But the most important part is what comes next: making a clear distinction and saying that's not who Jesus is. It's a plea to separate the failures of the followers from the one they claim to be following. So, if this performance-based, judgmental religion is the problem, what's the solution? Where do we go from here? Well, that question sets up our final section, which offers a totally different path forward. So, after all of that critique, we're left with the most important question of all. What's the alternative? If religion can get so bad, what does a faith that doesn't rely on performance and judgment even look like? And here it is, the core argument of this entire explainer. The idea is that Jesus didn't come to Earth to just swap out one set of religious rules for another. He wasn't trying to build a new and improved system for us to manage. Instead, he was offering a restored relationship, one based on grace, not our performance, on connection, not condemnation. And that leaves us with one last thought to chew on. If this whole distinction is true, then maybe the most important question isn't whether you're religious or not religious. Maybe the real question is this: are you building a resume or are you building a relationship? Thanks for joining us for The Explainer.